The following podcast, iDesign Lab, is an SW Group production in association with 5 Star and TW Interiors. This is iDesign Lab, a podcast where creativity and curiosity meet style and design. Curator of interiors, furnishings, and lifestyles. Hosted by Tiffany Woolley, an interior designer and a style enthusiast, along with her serial entrepreneur husband, Scott. iDesign Lab is your ultimate design podcast, where we explore the rich and vibrant world of design and its constant evolution in style and trends. iDesign Lab provides industry insight, discussing the latest trends, styles, and everything in between to better help you style your life through advice from trendsetters, designers, influencers, innovators, fabricators, and manufacturers, as well as personal stories that inspire, motivate, and excite. And join us on this elevated, informative, and lively journey into the world of all things design. We're excited to welcome Luis Carrillo, a true leader in the home furnishings industry with over 35 years of experience. As the exclusive representative for Hickory Chair, Luis has made a significant impact on design. Originally from Havana and raised in Miami, he graduated from the University of Miami in 1982 and began his career at Robert Allen Fabrics. A devoted family man, he's been married to Yvette for 38 years and is proud of his 2 adult children, Katrina and Luis III, who partners with him at Hickory Chair. Luis also celebrates 17 years of sobriety and holds a master's in counseling psychology, which he earned summa cum laude in 2015. Join us as we explore his inspiring journey and insights on design and personal growth.
Today, we would like to welcome Luis Carrillo to the iDesign Lab podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I know it's going to be a great conversation. So looking forward to this. We know Luis from Hickory Chair, but he has a very rich life that we're going to learn about, obviously through the eyes of design. And we're going to have you start and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'd love to. Thank you so much for having us. And it's funny how we connected at market.
I know.
And got the ball rolling. And I went, well, this is going to be great. I hope I hear from them. And boom, there you were, Scott. You followed up beautifully. Thank you so much. We
had a great conversation.
We did.
We actually
really did.
We walked away and we both were saying we enjoyed the conversation.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Life is funny. You never really know. You wake up and you try to do the best that you can every day, and there's going to be challenges, but they're all opportunities to
grow.
to be challenged yourself and to grow and to surrender as well. I've had a lot of those in my life, but I started in this business. This was not a plan.
Right.
It's
going to be a question. Yeah.
It was like, okay, how did you get started in this? Well, my sister's boyfriend was in the textile business.
Okay.
And there was an opening. He was expanding and taking over some international business, and they needed a rep for Dade in Broward County. And this was before Robert Allen. I applied for the job. I liked it. And that was my start. And I was
Had you ever thought you would go in that direction career-wise?
Textiles?
Yeah.
What are textiles?
Right.
My grandmother would sew. That's the only textiles and what we wear.
Right.
And it was interesting because they were, I don't know if you remember the company Barrow. They were out of, that was before my Robert Allen experience.
Not familiar.
That was like getting to the big leagues, getting to Robert Allen. But you had to pay your dues, and so we were selling to upholsterers and drapery workrooms, and that was an interesting job. All of a sudden you go into an upholstery shop, and where are my catalogs? Oh, they're under the 6 layers of dust over in that corner. So it was, you learn how to do the business,
right?
And I learned such a very important rule that to this day I take into effect on a regular basis, and that's show up and follow up. Mm-hmm. If you show up and then you follow up, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
In this business of repping.
Right.
Which is what I've done for over 35 years now.
Did you initially enjoy getting into the textile industry? Was it a big learning curve, or?
Well, first, Scott, Yeah, I didn't know anything about it and there's so much about it, the construction of textiles,
the design,
the warps and the weft.
Fabrics.
What kind of language? What's a warp? What's a weft? Warp
what is a warp? I don't even know what that is.
So they do warps. It's the direction of the yarns, how they come on. Because when you're running fabric at a mill, especially wovens, you use the same basic yarns. And then you can change patterns by the weft yarns that come in on the sides.
Oh, okay.
So you can run a warp for 5, 10, 15 different patterns. All you do is you change the interweaving, the weft yarns, and that's what'll change colors and pattern. So I mean, the first time I went to a weaving mill was Valdez Weavers in Georgia. It was amazing.
Wow.
And I didn't do it I did it when I was at Robert Allen. It was just an amazing experience. It's different than a printing facility. Printing is just screens and the cloth is already woven, and then you're just applying color and pattern onto it. When you're weaving fabrics, jacquards.
I know, and the layering.
It's a beautiful thing. So I had to learn about it.
It's an art.
That. And the structure and the tensile strength and I learned it really well with Barrow because they had a piece goods division and a cut yardage division. What that means, piece goods was all about selling rolls of fabric to people. Bolts. People who would either warehouse them in their store, their manufacturing facility. I was just thinking before I got here, there's a gentleman that I'm still in contact with. His name is Perry Solomon. And Perry was the president of Whitecraft Rattan back in the day.
Yeah.
And Perry, he was very open-minded about pushing the envelope. And he was one of the first people ever to purchase a tropical pattern tapestry to be used on luxury outdoor furniture. And we're still friends to this day.
Wow.
After all those years, he ran Pavilion Furniture for a while.
Big names.
And I repped Pavilion, and he's at Woodard now. So he's been in the business 50 years. Great guy, but I was just thinking about Perry and how we're still connected. This is such a business of relationships.
It is.
And lifelong relationships, because once you're in, you're in.
Right.
When I was with the fabrics, furniture was something that was far-fetched.
I was going to say, was it on your radar, or you were just...
So who were you selling to? Were you selling as a rep? You were selling?
The fabrics,
textiles.
But who were you selling to?
To interior designers, mainly. Now,
did they give you like a list of contacts, or did you just have to find your leads and who you're going to sell to yourself? Or
we're hunters, Scott.
Yeah.
We're always hunting. There's always prey out there.
Yep.
There was a core because it was a commission only job. Oh yeah, I've been commission only for 30 plus years.
Isn't that amazing?
And I wouldn't have it any other way. No,
and it's almost like you're independently your own boss essentially as well. I mean, you're an entrepreneur.
Well, it's exactly. I'm running my own business within the parameters that I'm given by the company. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to stay within these territorial limits.
I love that. It's capitalism.
Right, so you have to design your day to be diligent enough to bring in business and not kind of waste your time with your day.
Absolutely.
Going to a job where you got a boss and they're telling you what to do.
Yeah. So, like, for example,
a lot of self-discipline.
This trip here, I'm doing this with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see 3 other clients that are in the area.
Okay. Right.
Why not?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
I'm here. Remember the first, go back to rule 1. Show up and follow up.
Right.
That's really what it is. And you do have to prospect, not as much as in the past. I've been with 2 great brands, which is Robert Allen and Hickory Chair. And when I was with Robert Allen, I became a multi-line rep the second half of my career there.
And is Robert Allen, I know it's not any longer, but when you became the rep for Robert Allen, obviously it was in fabric, which was your familiar place at that time, and then going on to become a multi-line rep, how do other manufacturers feel bringing on other lines? Do they give you that parameter, or do they?
Well, that's a real good question, and it all depends on how important that one line is to you.
Okay.
Why did I take on other lines? Because Robert Allen was the General Motors of high-end
and
cut
I want
yardage.
to dive into that in a minute, but yeah, finish.
So when venture capitalists came in, that whole deal, let's buy several companies, have them under one central control,
yes,
minimize overhead, and be able to still do what we do, but do it at a lower cost, whatever that is. When all that started happening, Robert Allen started to lose a little bit of its edge. So for 10, 12 of my 20 years at Robert Allen, I didn't need another line. The line provided sufficiently for my family and I.
Right.
Now, when that line started decreasing in its ability to capture market, because I could go out there and do all the things that I do, but if we're not coming up with new product, if we're not being innovative, if we're losing our market share because of our efforts, then that's when I went to management. I go, hey, listen, guys, this is what I did last year. This is how we're tracking this year. And this is what I did 2 years ago. We're going in the opposite direction. I need to feed my family. And as long as it's not competing,
right.
If it was another fabric line, they'd have issues with.
Right.
I wouldn't need to let them know,
right.
And I just notify them. I'm telling you, this is what I'm doing. If they have a problem with it, then they can tell me. But
so how do you go out and find other lines to rep or know who's looking for new reps?
I'm sure.
So I went to High Point. There
you go.
I was overwhelmed. I was like a kid in a candy store. Oh my goodness!
It really is.
And I really had no purpose. It was more about the experience. So I didn't make any contacts during that time because it was just too much. And it's almost like I needed a game plan. So
reconnaissance.
So what I did,
it all in.
I was just absorbing. I said, "There's so much more out there."
Yeah.
So I came back to Miami, and I went to the trade showrooms that I had really good relationships with that carried multiple lines, and they had a relationship with me. So who better to refer me to a line than someone that I've been working with for many years?
Right.
So that's how it happened. Someone would ask somebody, hey, I'm looking for someone in Florida. Now, my territory was unique because a lot of furniture reps, and this I think was interesting also, a little niche for me. I only did Dade, Broward, and the Keys for Robert Allen. And I also did international for them. I traveled Central, South America, and the Caribbean. But that business kind of dwindled with the high value of the dollar. So that was I was involved in international finance. I didn't know
Realize
because
it,
our currency made a big impact on their ability to buy our product. So just having Dade, Broward, and the Keys as a territory allowed some manufacturers to say, something, we want to do a little niche here. Let's carve out this little piece. The rep may be living in Orlando and doing, northern territories, or living in West Palm or Naples and not wanting a desire to come down to Miami. Miami and Broward, you better bring your passport
because
because they may not
let you.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It's its own territory.
It's a crazy system down there. I mean, they often refer to it as the Banana Republic also down there, but it was an opportunity for them to step out and try something new, and it worked. I probably had at one time about 10 different lines.
Wow.
But the majority of the revenue was coming from 3. Or the 80-20 rule, 20% of your business comes from 80.
Yep.
80% of your business from 20% of your customers.
Right.
And it worked kind of the same way. But it was a great way to get into the door.
Right.
And basically all this time you're really just dealing with interior decorators.
Yes. Interior designers, trade showrooms. Trade showrooms are very important.
So what's a trade showroom? Like, explain that to our viewers or listeners.
Would that be like a Lee Parker?
No.
No? Okay.
Lee Parker is like a workroom, not
a trade showroom. Dakota.
Right, and which I was hoping you would bring up.
Dakota,
which had,
for example, Century, who's our parent company, has a trade showroom there.
Yes.
So trade showrooms, and they're throughout major metropolitan areas. There's a couple in New York, 200 Lex in the D&D building.
Yep.
LA's got a big one. Houston, I think Dallas has a big one. So there are places where companies that don't sell directly to retail consumers display their products to be sold through interior designers.
Right. Okay.
Their partners are the interior design industry, the interior designer that's going to buy at below retail,
Right.
and mark it up
And
So-
personalize
The average
it.
consumer does not realize that.
Correct.
The average person thinks an interior designer, interior decorator is too expensive, or they're going to be expensive, but doesn't realize that there's a lot of value.
Well, there's first you're going to have access to lines
That you didn't.
That you didn't. Hickory Chair is not available. You can shop it. You can
You can't
romance it
customize it
online, but
either.
you can't buy it online.
Right.
And can't customize it, and
So you can only get it through a design professional.
Right.
And there's a lot of lines like that. Contrary to the European models that like to manufacture and sell direct, like Roche Bobois,
okay, yes,
they're all about branding. But who are they selling to?
consumers.
To the end consumer.
Yeah.
They don't even offer a
No.
trade program.
Oh, I know.
So it all depends which way you want to go. We've always, as a company, Hickory Chair was very innovative in many things that it did. It was one of the first companies to shift gears from retail to interior designers. Because we kind of saw that the retail business, it's a difficult business because, as a manufacturer, you come up with 10 sets and you got to make 100 of each and have them available, so then you're going to sell them at market to all these different retail stores, and if it doesn't sell, you're stuck with the product. So they even changed the way, Hickory
whole
Chair changed
business
the way that they
model.
made business, that they
Right.
made furniture. We make parts
Huh.
and then assemble,
Right.
make furniture to orders,
Right.
one at a time,
Right.
as opposed to doing multiple units.
Correct.
And so, but that only works if you're selling to interior designers.
High end, yeah, the high end.
It's one of the
user.
reasons I keep saying this on this podcast of why we started this podcast is to really try to help educate consumers of the value that an interior designer, interior decorator brings to the table. When you're going and redoing your home, or you just bought your first home, they should be thinking about going to an interior designer, because at the end of the day, they most likely will save money, time, and have a much better product than just walking into a furniture store. Because it's like this chair. This is what they're going to sell in the furniture store.
Yeah.
But go to a Hickory, you can change the fabric. You can change the
This chair
The-
can be
the
done
wood-
in so many different.
Literally a limitless SKUs.
correct.
You can do the outside, the out arms and out backs in
Right.
one fabric. You can do the
trim.
welt in a different. You can do the in arms and in backs.
The
You can do you can do all
sizing,
kinds of
yes.
things. Leather, fabric combinations.
The average person out there doesn't understand it, doesn't realize it, doesn't know that.
It's an extremely value-added service that interior designers bring to the quality of a home. Now, we moved up to Vero Beach from Miami,
Okay.
and my house is a little Hickory Chair showroom.
Right.
Okay,
That's a perk.
we did some little touch-ups on paints here and there, but the furniture speaks.
Right.
I'm okay. I'm going to say it. My house looks like a little model.
Right.
It looks gorgeous.
Beautiful.
That's great.
And people come in and they go, wow. Now, my wife has got great taste. She's always had great taste. When I first got into textiles, I was a blue, red,
Right.
white, and black guy. You
Yeah.
know, the basic colors.
I
and-
think we're very
This
similar.
industry can only make you love and appreciate multitudes of the myriad of what's available. I
Oh,
mean, you want
yeah.
more.
Yeah, and so she taught me more about color.
Was she
Yeah.
ever in the business, or?
She's always been very artistically inclined, and when I started with Robert Allen, I got to the point where we were able to hit certain goals, and they were able to help me bring her on board. 'Cause-
Really?
Well, we had an incentive. If you hit
love
if
that.
you hit this goal, we're going to pay you more commission so that you can bring in your wife so she can handle more administrative work for you,
bookkeeping,
so
right.
you can be out there and doing what you do best, which is be in front of clients.
So you moved to Vero Beach from Miami.
Yes.
But when I think about that, I think about, it's beautiful in Vero Beach, but it's not like it is in Miami or Dade County in terms of the population, the amount of interior decorators and designers.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right.
Timing, it again brings a huge...
I mean, I listened to Tiffany, and she keeps on talking about we need to start doing more north.
Well, okay. Hickory Chair is not your grandmother's hickory chair anymore.
Right.
We have that.
Which we should talk about that.
I know, I do want to talk about that.
You know, we have a lot of that, but what's happened is Miami and Fort Lauderdale is very contemporary.
I know, I say they're not into the heirloom furniture
No, they're
anymore.
not. Legacy is not part of their vocabulary.
I agree. They're a quick fix.
And I'm going to share.
Cold.
I'll share a little story.
Yep.
Okay. And I know not directly, I was not involved, but there's a furniture retailer in Miami that's been there for many, many years, and he had a client, and the construction of the home was probably, I don't know, $7 to $8 million.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And beautiful chandeliers, beautiful artwork. But when it came down to the furnishings, the budget was $250,000. That doesn't fit.
No.
But because there's no value attached to heirloom furniture.
I know.
I can sell the house. I can sell the Rolex. I can sell the Ferrari. You know, I'm going to look nice with my $20,000 purses. I can sell those too. But furniture,
right.
I don't put the same value in it.
I know.
It is amazing. It's almost like a short-mindedness. I don't know if it has to do.
I struggle with that.
With the fact
clients.
that like in Miami in particular, and maybe Broward, there's a lot of new money.
Mm-hmm.
There's pockets of old money. But when you go to places like Vero Beach, Palm Beach, that's money
level.
That's been around. I mean, and I'm not talking snob. I'm talking the appreciation of quality, well-made pieces that are going to last for several lifetimes.
And people who set a table, and people who truly entertain at home, and you know, that's like the heirloom qualities that I mentioned. I struggle with that even here with clients. You know, people want things quickly. People, you know, when I started in this business, I was only doing complete custom, all high end. And then just as business changed and I started doing younger families who were just getting started, you know, some of them couldn't understand or grasp. And I would come home, Scott, I'm like, these people, they spend this much to send their kids to school. They spend this much on a car, this much on, you know, traveling. Mm-hmm. And like, how can, you know, a $5,000 sofa be so out of the realm when you're living and sitting on it every single day? The good news is I do think that I see the younger generation actually kind of pivoting and coming back. The whole grand millennial aesthetic is a thing, and I kind of feel like we get to play into that and bring Hickory along, at least in our firm.
I look at myself as a consumer of furnishings, and my taste did not become as sophisticated as it is today until I was a little older.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was appreciating things a little more. You know, it was more about, okay, what's my budget?
Right.
You know, first, what are my needs?
Yeah.
And then what's my budget? And how can I match those together and find something that's decent? Now, most of that furniture I don't have anymore. Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't able to purchase the pieces at that time.
Right.
Now, I'm not able to buy them now either. I just get them at a great price.
Yeah. That's the perks.
You know, I'm not. My budget is not my client's budgets. But that's all right. We're here to satisfy those needs anyway.
Yes.
But you know, the services of an interior designer, and these are the things that I think are extraordinary. It's the layering.
It really layering of the textures and
that's what makes it. And we see it. all the time.
I know.
You know, we had the pleasure sometimes of being involved with installs and or getting photos from the final installation. And it's just that layering, is those minute details that make such an incredible difference.
Right.
You know, and those are kind of the things that we also offer with Hickory Chair.
Right.
That you can really make a one-of-a-kind piece.
Were you involved with Hickory Chair and Robert Allen at the same time?
No.
Okay.
It was a God incidence that I got
A
involved.
heaven wink.
Absolutely. I got involved with Hickory Chair. When I was at Robert Allen for all those years, Henry-Don was the brand that you wanted to work for. Or Maitland
Other
Smith.
people said that in here too.
Just because of the volume, you know. And Henry-Don was made in the USA. They were that high-end quality. Well, they went offshore. Hickory Chair stayed in the States. We didn't go anywhere. So I started to learn more about Hickory Chair. So I ended my relationship with Robert Allen, and I'm out seeing a client, and I'm talking to the client, and I'm letting him know, ended with Robert, and I just wasn't working out for either one of us. So it was time to go. But if you know of anybody, let me know. So we're chatting. It's all about relationships. These have become friends. And then comes a gentleman that looked familiar, but I didn't know. And he's saying goodbye to the owners of the business, telling them, listen, this is my last month. It's been great working with you for all these years, but my fiance has put her foot down, and I have to move to Atlanta to be with her full time. So if you know of anybody, let me know. And I happened to be sitting
Standing
amongst
right
them.
there.
They pointed at me, and I raised my hand like if I was in second grade. I'm available.
Wow.
And that was with Hickory?
That was with Hickory Chair. That happened towards the end of March, and I interviewed, did my things a little bit before market and after market, and I started May 15th.
So tell us about Hickory Chair. What's like the history behind it? And
Well,
it's made in the States, it's North Carolina, correct?
Yes, sir. The company started off in 1911.
Really?
The same
lot of
facility that it's at right now.
Over 100 years old.
Absolutely. And we were called Hickory Chair because the only thing that we made was a chair. That was it. Other people made the tables. It was that specific, the manufacturing. And we've been around since 1911. So imagine all the things that the company has been through.
Family owned and operated, or
We've had several owners.
okay.
And we went from that family ownership or privately held to investments.
Okay.
Remember Furniture Brands International when they did all the conglomerate buy?
Yeah.
We were part of that group. And then Heritage Home Group bought us from them. And now we're back to furniture people.
Okay.
People that a family, the Shuford family.
Okay, right. We've heard of the
Alex Shuford and his family, third generation furniture folks. I mean, when they came in to speak to us the day that
We're taking
I went to bed one night at market working for a company. Overnight, I was unemployed, and I woke up an independent contractor for another one.
Wow.
It was insane, but it was so Alex came to talk to us, and he said something very interesting. He said, we have a responsibility to people.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, Hickory Chair, I think, had like 400 some odd employees, and I think as a company, I think they were Century and their companies had over 1,000. So there was a lot of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, we know that there are years where we're going to make money. There are years we're going to break even, and there are going to be years where we may lose money. But we're here for the long run.
Wow.
We have a responsibility to our neighbors, to the families that provide for us and the services that they do. And so we're in this for the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And very sharp people, very conservative, brilliant. I mean, so Hickory Chair, which is an heirloom brand,
Correct.
is now with probably one of the best furniture manufacturing families that we can ever have dreamed of being with.
Where did the Shuford family start with?
Well, Century.
Century, okay.
Century. So they are Rock House Farm.
Yeah, Rock House Farms. Yeah.
Rock House Farm, family of brands.
Right.
Is a holding company.
Right.
That owns Century, Hickory Chair,
Highland House,
Maitland Smith.
They own Maitland Smith.
Hancock and Moore, Cabot Wren, which is a contract line, and Jessica Charles.
Wow.
So those are, and it's you really have a good, better, best menu
yes.
of brands. So it's nicely diversified, their portfolio, and we're treated as a family of brands. So
I know you feel that actually between even your reps, they all feel that, and that's like the feeling that you have when you're in market too.
We're all friendly.
Yep.
But you've heard of sibling rivalries, right? So that does exist. We want to get
the numbers,
the one up on our siblings, but don't come against us if you're not a sibling, because then we will. Get together and attack the enemy.
I would think that Hickory is probably their jewel.
I would say so. We're different. Century's an amazing company. They have a much broader offering than we do. Highland House is also a great company.
Love Highland House. Yeah.
They do some beautiful things. Hickory Chair, we just do some unique pieces that at a capacity that is really unique to us. But
everything is custom, correct? Everything is made to order?
Everything is made to order. Over 90% of the products are made there in Hickory. We do outsource some items, things that have stone or metal. All of our case goods. No one does case goods in the States anymore. Most of the case goods are imported and finished in the States.
How big is the line of?
Oh goodness, Scott, that's a difficult question.
In the hundreds of items, or
thousands.
Well,
really?
No way. And then you have the
partner
all the different
brands, with the designers and
or the alliterations of a piece. Because if I can make the sofa from a chair to 120 inches and everything in the middle, those are all different SKUs, if you will, or one SKU but different alliterations of it. Yeah,
so
I would say thousands.
On a yearly basis, from a design standpoint, is there a lot of new designs or new things coming out?
Oh yeah.
And but is it like the things that are going to be coming out this year in 2025? Were they created and thought of last year, 3 years ago? Because some companies are 2-3 years ahead. What is it?
Absolutely. For example, we're already. There are collections that are in the works for April 26th and October 26th. You have to be that far ahead,
right?
Because don't forget, it's not only the design. Then you have to do the engineering, and then you have to do your mock-ups, your prototypes for market,
right?
And then we're furniture snobs, Scott. We're gonna if anybody that's involved with making that piece does not give the thumbs up, it doesn't go into production. Okay, so it's
got a lot of layers of design in terms of approval.
Well, from the guy who springs up the spring decks, from the guy who does the upholstery, from the ladies and the gentlemen who do all the sewing, all those people are involved in the process. How the fabric is laid out. This is looking good. This seam should be a little better. So everyone has a say in the piece before, we're okay. You get all thumbs up from all departments. Now we can move forward.
So do they bring you or reps like you involved? Do you think you can sell this? What do you think they can?
Well, that happens at market.
At market, okay.
At market.
Do they get feedback after market? Do you
absolutely
strategize amongst each other?
Tuesday,
as a brand,
Tuesday at our wrap-up meeting, we go through all the new introductions as a team, and we will give the thumbs up or thumbs down, or we will give our opinion. And what we felt based on the feedback that we've gotten from our appointments and visits through through market of what people were leaning towards. And mind you, you're going to have, several different opinions because we're all from the whole country. So the Southeast doesn't buy like the Northeast.
Correct. And somebody
Absolutely.
has to manage those expectations.
So then our head of merchandising, who's phenomenal. Oh, God, what a team. Megan Barrett. And
I feel like Hickory does a lot of brand ambassadors, or they work directly with designers creating lines of furniture. Like, what does that process look like?
Oh, it's the same.
The same.
But it's the same in a certain way. Hickory Chair, we've got items in the line from the 30s that we're still selling.
So wild.
Really?
Which I love that, though.
Yeah. We were one of the first companies to bring outside designers in to help us design a line.
Really?
Yeah, to design a collection. Why not?
I agree.
So that's been something that we've done for many, many years. Mark Hampton was a very successful designer that before he died, and then Alexa Hampton was one of the designers also.
Yeah.
So do they promote those designers on the
sure.
line?
Well, Scott, they have their own collections within.
Right.
They
Susan Kessler, right?
Suzanne Kastler is our
And
right now they're licensees.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. Okay.
Okay, so what they do, they design, they bring to us, we review, we go through it. Can we make these changes? And okay, we're adding 15 pieces. By the way, this last market that you guys were at, we introduced over 122 new pieces
That's
of furniture.
That's so wild to think.
The most that we've
120.
introduced in since 1999.
That's a lot of pieces.
That's we are your marketplace,
Right.
Tiffany.
Yes.
So we felt that we need to provide as much as we can, and we did a little bit of everything. There was a lot of Hickory Chair internal design merchandise, and there were several pieces from every designer that we have, because Hickory Chair is the brand.
And they have their own textiles as well.
Some of them do, yes, but not necessarily through us. Like I believe David Phoenix has some collections with Kravet.
Right.
Right, and they have lighting lines. Some of them are involved with lighting,
True.
which is fine. Involved with area rugs,
cross-collaborations,
wallpaper. Do whatever you need to do. But you're here with us for furniture only, and so there's a wonderful collaboration. We work very well. Like for example, Ray Booth and David Phoenix. They have a modern edge to them, sophisticated modern edge. Susan Habel it's mid-century modern. She's an artist. So you see that in her styling, very different and unique. And then Suzanne Kastler, she's very European influence. Her scale is a little smaller.
I know, I love her.
These are
scale.
some
beautiful
designers.
Yeah.
These are designers.
What do you know what most of them were before? Like, were they an interior decorators, or were they just furniture?
Scott, they
interior
were all
designers.
well-known, successful interior designers in their own.
So did they come present to Hickory?
Yes.
Or does Hickory find them? Or
I think I haven't been involved in that process.
Okay.
From what I understand, it's a collaborative effort. If we see someone that we like what their look is, we may reach out and start a conversation and see if they're interested or not, because there's always new talent out there.
Right. So would you say that's a way that Hickory Chair tries to stay current, is by these collaborations?
I think it's, as a company, we stay current on our own.
Okay.
I think this is like a value added. It's a team effort. They're doing their specific collections based on what their aesthetic and their design profile is. Right? And then we're kind of filling gaps every once in a while. We come up with a great program, like a wonderful chair that's done great for years. Now we've added 6 different arms to it. Right. And a bunch of different bases. So we'll do things like that. We'll look within our product line and say, okay, where do we have opportunity? If we were to offer this, and we get involved in that. At the wrap-up meetings, we'll even throw out some suggestions. Hey, we heard that if we could do this and offer these options, it could be something that would work. And we have a great dialogue with product development. I mean, we are the boots on the ground.
Correct.
Right.
You know, but they also have, their vision is intense.
So
I ask these questions because I've seen over the years, just recently, Tiffany has clients, and recently there were 3 beds you did for a client. And the client, she couldn't pick the exact thing that the client wanted, and the client didn't like really anything that you were picking out. So Tiffany started sketching what she thought the client wanted as a bed. And the client's like, yes, that's it. And then she has me get on the phone because she has 2 different companies she works with, one in North Carolina and one in California. Send these sketches to them and see what the price will be. And I'll get on the phone with them and tell them the rest of the details. And she did. I don't know, maybe 4 months later, 5 months later, the beds are being delivered, custom. But she's done this with chairs and tables. And I've said to her numerous times, you should start putting a book together of all these things
That's
that you
next.
can present.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
But this all goes in hand with what is the design process, so people who are listening to this podcast understand with Hickory, because what I learned, it was the first time for me going to market. Tiffany goes all the time. And I was like, you said earlier how you were overwhelmed. I couldn't believe what High Point was. We were heading to the airport, leaving after 4 days of being there, and I said to her, "You need to bring like most of the clients here, because in 2 days walking around,
you can appreciate so much.
they can pick so much out."
Well, you appreciate.
But I learned, and especially with your company, the amount of selections, like we just talked about. What's the process that people should understand? Like, they pick a sofa, but now there's so many different selections. It's pretty easy for someone to.
People like Hickory make it easy.
Well, if it takes more than 3 steps, then we have a problem.
Okay, so that seems pretty easy. Because I learned is it is pretty easy.
You got to think 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so pick a frame, pick an arm, pick a base. Those are your 3 main things. On this particular, it's called the Jules chair. Best-selling chair. It's kept the lights on at the factory forever.
Yeah.
You remember?
You showed it to us.
That is the chair.
Right.
And the funny thing is, we've been copied on many occasions.
Often imitated, never duplicated.
Never duplicated, because they cannot achieve the comfort.
Right.
They can't. And it's that, that thumbs up process.
Right.
That's what that's all about. If it doesn't sit just right, and it's the pitch on the back and the support underneath, if that's not the way that it needs to be for how the chair was designed, then we got to go back.
But each one of those 3 steps that you mentioned, like the legs, there's who knows how many different colors or stains or.
Oh goodness, there's 40 to. Okay, so we have over 40 different stains and paints. But then if we don't have one that you like,
you can
tell me which one you'd like, and we'll mock up a sample and send it to you for your approval.
Right.
It's
limitless.
Fabrics, over 40% of all of our upholstery is COM. COM is when the designer sends us the fabrics.
Correct.
So what we do as far as saying, okay, how are we going to select fabrics in the future, right? Well, we need to see what the trends are now. So we'll literally go to every COM that comes in and cut off a little 2x2. Keep it in bags, and then go to product development. The team puts them all on boards to see where the market is trending. Now, it's not telling us where it's going to go, but it tells us where it is, and it can kind of give us good direction. So, yes, imagine
behind-the-scenes research.
Behind-the-scenes
cool,
right? So the designer's always involved, whether they know it or not.
I love that.
Feedback. I mean, we have something that's called special construction. Now, this is something that none of the bigger manufacturers do, because it's impossible to do. It's very time consuming, and you have to be nimble to be able to do it. Okay, Louis, I love this credenza that you have, it only comes in either a 2, a 4, or a 6 door. So you have some flexibility. But, I have a big space. Mm-hmm. I want to make it shallower but wider.
Yeah.
Okay, how wide? Give me your dimensions. Okay, let me submit them to our engineering department. I'll send the item number and the size that they're looking for, and within 72 hours,
wow,
I will get a yay or a nay, and how much of an upcharge to produce that piece. Mm-hmm. Now, that's something that you can only get done at local workrooms or companies like the one that you mentioned.
Yes,
that you can that they were going to make the piece. Now, that's a very expensive proposition when you're designing yours, right?
Correct, and you lose the name of buying a hickory piece, which goes back to that legacy, mindset and customization. Well, we've spoken like how exciting hickory is, and one other thing I wanted to kind of bring into it became a family business for you, not only with your wife, but while we were there, we met your son. How does that evolve, and what does that look like?
I'm getting emotional.
I mean, it is.
That's how special it is to me.
I know.
Hold on, I got to bite my lip for a second. So, it was happenstance. It was another God incident. I never intended for him to be involved in the business. But, he'd been trained and I didn't even know it. Mm-hmm. When my kids were 15 years old, they're 5 years apart. Yeah, 6 years apart. When they were 15, I would take them out with me to see clients to learn how to drive. Come with Dad today. You're going to learn driving up and down I-95.
Oh my God, I love that.
I'm going to be as a passenger seat. I got a driver for the day.
Done. It was like a win-win.
Phenomenal.
I love it.
So I did that with my daughter, and she learned how to drive. And rain, all the difficult situations. I go, this is life, And then I did it with my son. But with my son, I would have him. Hey, son, I'm a little B. Can you take in the next 2 books and talk about them? My voice is a little hoarse, and what I say, Dad, well, just tell him, feel the fabric and show him the price point in the back, and he'd do it, and he didn't feel fearful or anything. He was with his dad, and his clients are his dad's friends, so he's just talking about stuff that his dad talks about. So he felt real comfortable. So COVID hit, and he had been interning at a consulting company, and he graduated early, and that final year was terrible because they were stuck at home.
I know that generation.
So when it was time, they said, listen, when you graduate, come see us and we'll see. So it was time. He graduated, went to see him and says, we can't help you. We've lost too many clients during COVID. So that was August. I spoke to my wife and I said, honey, would you mind if I talk to Louis about maybe coming up to market? And he says, I think it's a great idea. I spoke to him, you want to try this out? No guarantees.
Right. See,
I don't know. You may like it. You may not. You may run towards it. You may run away from it. But I'll ask permission to bring you. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Alex Shuford was running our company. I reached out to Alex and I said, hey, I'd like to just bring my son, introduce him to the business. Don't know what he wants to do.
Love that.
And he said, "Oh, please, would love to meet him."
Right.
Next generation. You remember we were talking about earlier in the program about how I was with fabrics and about getting into furniture. Well, it was like the good old boys club,
right?
And you would have this generational openings were not available. Mm-hmm. It was very difficult to get into it. And so it was a blessing when he was open-minded to it. And so my son and I, we studied on all the product, and we went up to market, and I told him, son, you're going to be on a 6-day interview. So whether this is something you want to do or not, just know that you're going to be watched.
Right.
Did he deal with people, coming on?
Oh, my goodness. I got caught in a pickle, and where I had to deal with somebody else, and someone else showed up. And it was one of our top accounts. And he jumped in there and
he owned it.
He owned it. I mean, I got comments back from the buyer. He says, oh, my goodness. He's phenomenal.
So what's he doing now?
He is my partner.
What a blessing.
Yeah,
right?
he's working. He's in his 3rd year with us, with me. He's working on the west coast of Florida. He moved to the Fort Myers, Punta Gorda
What a
area.
great area.
A beautiful new community called Babcock Ranch.
Oh.
I'll put in a plug for them. Oh, my God, phenomenal. He's very, very happy there. So he works from Marco Island to St. Pete. That's his territory. He got married this last summer. So did my daughter. My kids like to abuse us. July and August weddings. It was phenomenal.
Literally
Yes.
in one the same year?
Yes.
Oh, my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes,
Oh.
it was
July
a
and
blur.
August, a month apart.
Yeah, it was a blur.
Oh, my gosh.
But we're so thrilled for them. They're so happy. You know when you see a couple get together and they're better together than they are apart. That's what I see in our new family members.
The holidays were probably really fun this year.
Yes, we did Thanksgiving up in Vero with 2 grandpuppies, and we did Christmas down in Miami.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, it's such a full circle business. I'm hoping that we would have the same, fortune one day that one of our kids would come and take part in what we do here. So it's like it is like the home industry is a big family. So it's like under the same roof,
Absolutely. Well, who are you going to leave something like this to?
Right.
You sacrifice a lot, but one of the things that I had to learn in working with my son was, okay, he's my son, but now he's my partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to change how I was communicating, how I was interacting, ask for opinions. I mean, I refer to him as a new and improved version because he is.
Right.
He has a different skill set, and
Totally.
and as parents, how do we capitalize
I know.
on that?
Agreed.
And surrender somewhat and allow them to flourish in an environment that we're not parents. We become associates or partners.
And support.
Yeah. And sometimes you got to bite your tongue and not say something or say it at another time. Which is hey, I'm Cuban. I got that blood, so I gotta bite hard and not say it. but it's been a learning experience, and I think it's improved our relationship tremendously.
Oh, I would assume, yeah.
My first 11 years in business with my partner was my father. We had grocery stores here in South Florida. It was tough.
I bet. Well, that's a different
The two of us
generation.
working
It's
together.
a different generation,
yeah.
and I feel like our generation is a lot more open-minded to surrender and to communicate and collaborate versus dictate.
Exactly. Well,
And
I lived in a 10-acre farm down in Redland. Yeah, are you familiar with the Redland area down in Dade County? It's,
Yeah.
It's a breadbasket for the Midwest. That's
Yep.
where green beans, tomatoes,
Yep.
all that stuff is grown down there. And I had a place where my dad was helping me. We had 22 horse stables, and
Wow.
and so he's always been involved with horses his whole life. So I go, hey, Dad, I'm going to do this. You want to come live with us? So he had his own, he and my mom. But it was difficult. And you're talking about that other generation, he was still the boss.
Right.
Even though it was my place.
kind of
My
similar
business. He
scenario.
was still the boss.
Right.
No, my dad and I butted heads
Yeah.
he was a tough character.
Yeah. Yes, I can relate.
I mean, you talk about having your kids drive you. I kind of went through the same thing. I was 12 years old. And I was 12, 13 years old. I was driving my father to work.
I love it.
But it was on Saturdays and Sundays, but at 5 o'clock in the morning. And in the winter, this was in New York on Long Island. And in the wintertime, and it's 0 degrees out, he would open up the windows in the car. and I'm driving, freezing. And he would say to me over and over, every single weekend, every weekend, he would say to me, "You like this? You enjoy this?" I said, "Of course I don't. Getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and all this bitter cold?" And I'd say, "No, of course not." "Well, that's why you better do good in school so you don't do this the rest of your life."
Wonderful lesson. Yeah.
But then I graduated from college, and where am I? I'm back in the grocery stores with him. You know, he had moved here and retired, but we opened up one and then grew it to 42 of them.
Wow, fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, see, but the hook there was no snow.
Correct.
Yeah, there you go.
Correct. Great weather. Great weather. So we have a couple of questions we like to end the podcast with.
Oh, sure.
They're fun little just design tidbits since you're, in the industry. One is, what is a favorite design element, like in your home, or just something that piques your interest?
There are, whenever I see upholstery and wood detailing, we have these chairs that are Hickory Chair, Alexander chairs, and they have this wood framing on the outback that then ties into the arm. And it's just a little sliver. It's an inch of wood that's just saying, "Hi, I'm pretty.
Yeah,
I know it." And the contrast with the fabric. And it's just that, because you don't need to have it there.
Yeah.
It's not a need.
Yeah.
It's that special touch. It's those little things that stand out to me. I'm very visual, and if I see it, like if I see a flaw, I'll see it forever until I fix it.
And I like that, actually.
And I'll continue to see it. Okay, I got it. Okay, stop and just do it. So that would be it. The Alexander chairs, and it's the way that the arm detail of the wood. Imagine the top of the arm is upholstered. There's a sliver of wood underneath,
cool.
and then it's upholstered underneath, and then that same detail goes along the back of the outback of the chair.
Amazing.
It's just so pretty.
It is. So
So
pretty.
elegant. I think it's those little architectural details
Detailing.
Correct.
that make it. Oh wow.
They
This
make
is
you
special.
appreciate them.
Yeah.
So thinking about design,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
is there a restaurant that comes to mind that you would say the design is just outstanding? I love the design of that restaurant.
It could even be the lack of design.
Well, there was this one restaurant that we went to in Miami. It was a little loud, but it's called the Bayshore Club. Newly opened, probably a couple of years old. It's on the water, modern design style, open air.
The vibe.
The music, the bars on one side, the energy. It's Coconut Grove
I know,
at
I
its
love
best. And the food is good.
In Coconut Grove on the like near Monty's, or
Yeah, it's closer.
like there's the Whole Foods over there? Is it
Yeah.
in that area?
Yes, there.
Okay.
It's on the water. It's where the Dinner Key Auditorium used to be. If you go down 27th Avenue, you hit South Bayshore, you make a left, and then you make your first right. You're gonna find it's right next to the City Hall.
Okay.
Right next to the Miami City Hall, which is an Art Deco building.
Yeah.
Very, very funky. It used to be the Pan Am.
I love those history
terminals
tidbits.
for
Really?
for the amphibious planes.
No,
Pan Am had
that is such a
amphibious
I
planes.
never knew that.
Oh yeah.
That would go to where? The Bahamas? Or
Cuba.
Cuba.
Yes. Yeah.
What a
that was their
amazing-
place. Yeah. So they converted that to Miami City Hall. Great. And
Never knew
and,
that.
and inside the
There's
building
just-
they have all these mosaics.
And they're
detail.
original?
Yes. It's a beautiful building.
Oh my goodness.
You should go and go to the Bayshore Club. You have a great meal.
So that is
Yeah.
so cool. So cool. Do you have a favorite coffee table book?
Okay, Ray Booth. Okay, Suzanne Casper's got some
Yes,
beautiful books,
She does.
but Ray Booth has a book. What was it? Evocative Interiors, I think the name. Ray, forgive me if I got it wrong.
Oh, I like evocative.
But the preface or the intro that's done on the book was written by Bobby McAlpin. McAlpin Design out of Tennessee, who was Ray's professor at Auburn, who then brought Ray from New York to come work with him. The words that they use to describe design is something I've never heard before.
Really? What's the name of the book?
I think it's evocative design because...
Is it Rosoli or...
I don't know who...
I'm going to look.
I'll find it before we leave. And the photography, and it's all about evoking that thing that
I love that.
That you get when you, like when I look at the Alexander chair, that is evoking an emotion inside of me. It's more than, it's a feel, a touch, a look, a sensation that they strive for. In their interiors. So that book is amazing. Yes.
I love that. I want to go look.
And forgive me, Ray, if I got the wrong name. I don't sell books.
Well, I think that's awesome. I think on that evoking of a great feeling, today was wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, it is my pleasure. You know, these are so much fun. Thank you for taking a risk on this non-stocking sales rep up in High Point.
I love it. We love it. We're grateful. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Until next time.
iDesign Labs podcast is an SW Group production in association with the 5-Star and TW Interiors. To learn more about iDesign Lab or TW Interiors, please visit twinteriors.com.